Hebrews chapter 9. Now even the first covenant had regulations for worship and an earthly sanctuary. For a tent was constructed, the first one, in which were the lampstand, the table, and the bread of the presence. This is called the holy place. Behind the second curtain was a tent called the Holy of Holies. In it stood the golden altar of incense and the ark of the covenant, overlaid on all sides with gold, in which there were a golden urn holding the manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tablets of the covenant. Above it were the cherubim of glory overshadowing the mercy seat. Of these things we cannot speak now in detail. Such preparations having been made, the priests go continually into the first tent to carry out their ritual duties, but only the high priest goes into the second, and he but once a year, and not without taking the blood that he offers for himself and for the sins committed unintentionally by the people. By this, the Holy Spirit indicates that the way into the sanctuary has not yet been disclosed as long as the first tent is still standing. This is a symbol of the present time, during which gifts and sacrifices are offered that cannot perfect the conscience of the worshipper, but deal only with food and drink and various baptisms, regulations for the body imposed until the time comes to set things right. But when Christ came as a high priest of the good things that have come, then through the greater and perfect tent, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, he entered once for all into the holy place, not with the blood of goats and cows, but with his own blood, thus obtaining eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls, with the sprinkling of the ashes of a heifer, sanctifies those who have been defiled, so that their flesh is purified, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead works to worship the living God. For this reason, he is the mediator of a new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance, because a death has occurred that redeems them from the transgressions under the first covenant, while a will is involved. The death of the one who made it must be established, for a will takes effect only at death, since it is not in force as long as the one who made it is alive. Hence, not even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. For when every commandment had been told to all the people by Moses in accordance with the law, he took the blood of calves and goats, with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the scroll itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant that God has ordained for you." And in the same way, he sprinkled with the blood both the tent and all the vessels used in worship. Indeed, under the law, almost everything is purified with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. Thus, it was necessary for the sketches of the heavenly things to be purified with these rites, but the heavenly things themselves need better sacrifices than this. For Christ did not enter a sanctuary made by human hands, a mere copy of the true one, but he entered into heaven itself, now to appear in presence of God on our behalf. Nor was it to offer himself again and again, as the high priest enters the holy place year after year with blood that is not his own. For then he would have had to suffer again and again since the foundation of the world. But as it is, he has appeared once for all at the end of the age to remove sin by the sacrifice of himself. And just as it is appointed for mortals to die once, and after that the judgment, so Christ, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting for him. 希伯来书第9章。原来前约有礼拜的条例和属世界的圣幕，因为有预备的帐幕，头一层叫做圣所，里面有灯台、桌子和陈设饼。第二幔子后又有一层帐幕，叫做至圣所，有金香炉，有包金的约柜， 柜里有盛玛纳的金罐和亚伦发过芽的杖，并2块约板。柜上面有荣耀基路伯的影，照着施恩座。这几件我现在不能一一细说。这些物件既如此预备齐了，众祭司就常进头一层帐幕，行拜神的礼。至于第2层帐幕，唯有大祭司1年1次独自进去，没有不带着血为自己和百姓的过错献上。圣灵用此指明，头一层帐幕仍存的时候，进入至圣所的路还未显明。那头一层帐幕做现今的一个表样，所献的礼物和祭物，就着良心说，都不能叫礼拜的人得以完全。这些事，连那饮食和诸般洗濯的规矩，都不过是属肉体的条例，命定到振兴的时候为止。但现在基督已经来到，做了将来美事的大祭司，经过那更大更全备的帐幕，不是人手所造，也不是属乎这世界的，并且不用山羊和牛犊的血，乃是用自己的血，只一次进入圣所，成了永远赎罪的事。若山羊和公牛的血并母牛犊的灰洒在不洁的人身上，尚且叫人成圣，身体洁净，何况基督借着永远的灵，将自己无瑕无疵献给神，他的血岂不更能洗净你们的心，除去你们的死刑，使你们侍奉那永生神吗？为此，他做了新约的中保，既然受死赎了人在前约之时所犯的罪过，便叫蒙召之人得着所应许永远的产业。凡有一命，必须等到留一命的人死了，因为人死了，一命才有效力。若留一命的尚在，那一命还有用处吗？所以前约也不是不用血力的，因为摩西当日照着律法将各样诫命传给众百姓，就拿朱红色绒和牛膝草，把牛犊、山羊的血和水洒在书上，又洒在众百姓身上，说：这血就是神与你们立约的凭据。他又照样把血洒在帐幕和各样器皿上。按着律法，凡物差不多都是用血洁净的，若不流血，罪就不得赦免了。照着天上样式做的物件，必须用这些祭物去洁净，但那天上的本物自然当用更美的祭物去洁净。因为基督并不是进了人手所造的圣所，这不过是真圣所的影像，乃是进了天堂，如今为我们显在神面前，也不是多次将自己献上，像那大祭司每年带着牛羊的血进入圣所。如果这样，他从创世以来就必多次受苦了。但如今在这末世显现一次，把自己献为祭，好除掉罪。按着定命，人人都有一死，死后且有审判。像这样，基督既然一次被献，担当了多人的罪，将来要向那等候他的人第2次显现，并与罪无关，乃是为拯救他们。